So we have started the recording, and I'm now just going to share the screen. And I'm hoping that everyone now can see Seminar 1, an overview of our services. If anyone can't, give me a shout. So good morning to you all. Happy Monday morning. I'm afraid you've just got me today. It says with Anthony and Sue, but Anthony sends his apologies. He's not able to attend today. Sorry, forgive me. I'm just admitting another person. So today it's all about an introduction to the Share Foundation. Very quickly on housekeeping, and just to let you know, whoever I've just admitted, we are actually recording this now, so I hope that's okay. If not, give me a shout, or alternatively, understand if you do want to leave, but you certainly don't need to have your camera on. So for housekeeping purposes, we are intending this to be about a 1-hour seminar. I've done 4 of these now. They've been about 45 minutes, but it does depend on questions as well afterwards. Please, this is all about your seminar. Get the most out of it and ask questions as you need to. And I will stay on as well if anyone wants to ask me something separately. Or as I say, we're always available, and I will reiterate that as we go along. The Share Foundation team are always accessible by telephone or email anyway, if you have any other questions when you disappear and then think, oh, I wish I'd asked that. So I'll be sharing screen, and if you do need to leave, then there is a leave button. I believe it says at the bottom right corner, so hopefully you'll all be familiar with that. But if you do need to, then fully understand. If I could just ask that you all keep your microphone on mute, only just to avoid any background noise, to make it easier for everyone to hear. Ask away, as mentioned before. We will have questions at the end, but if you feel you need to ask something in between, don't worry, just let me know. You can raise a hand, you can give me a shout, and I will keep an eye out for any questions as well if you want to put them in the chat. As mentioned before, you don't have to have your video camera on if you choose not to. So meet the team today. There would be Anthony. He's our Director of Operations. He really generally oversees everything, has been with the Share Foundation now since 2012. But the reason why his photo is as it is, he lives on a canal boat. He works Monday and Thursday only, and the rest of the week he is traveling the canals. So yes, but very, very active still within the Share Foundation, and very much involved with the strategic side of the Share Foundation with our chairman. And then there's me, Sue Parsons. I am the operations manager, working very closely with the management team, and also with all the team to ensure the day-to-day activities of the Share Foundation. And topics we're going to cover today are all about who are the Share Foundation, the types of savings accounts available that we administer, the similarities and differences between the accounts, the work of the Share Foundation, so the whole sort of as the scope, and we'll cover some of the different topics of the other seminars. So those of you who may not be aware, there are other seminars. Those of you who have signed up, then great. And those of you who would like to know a little bit more about some of them, then we will cover that today so that you can sign up to any of those as well. We'll obviously have time for questions, and that's really important. So who are the Share Foundation? We're a registered charity. We've been going since 2005. And the first thing I really want to mention is, as a charity, all our costs are covered by the government or a philanthropist. So we have a contract with the Department for Education, and they contract us to do what we do, administer the Junior ISA and Child Trust Fund scheme for young people in care. So 100% any money is contributed to young people's accounts. 100% of that is into their accounts. We take no money for the administration side. We are covered from an administration side. That makes us quite unique as a charity, because many charities obviously need just some money just to have the team. So we are very blessed in that respect. And most importantly, the young people, 100% of your contributions or foster carers' contributions, whoever contributes to these accounts, is going to those young people. So in 2005, we were raising contributions for child trust funds for young people in care in the local area. Then in 2012, you may all recall, or some of you may not know, but the Child Trust Fund scheme ended in January 2011. The Share Foundation worked with Barnardo's and Action for Children to lobby the government to say, hey, what about young people in care? What about long-term savings for them now the Child Trust Fund scheme is no longer in place? So the government started the Junior ISA scheme for young people in care, which basically meant that the Share Foundation could draw down £200 to open a Junior ISA for every young person who had been in care for a year without any breaks. And I'll talk about the eligibility in a minute, to ensure they had some long-term savings and where people could contribute to that as well. Then the contract widened in 2017. In fact, 2017 was when I joined the Share Foundation. We widened to cover the Child Trust Fund scheme. Prior to that, the Child Trust Fund for young people in care were being managed by the official solicitor and accountant of court in Scotland. So any local authorities, healthcare trusts, you would have been submitting data to the Share Foundation for the Junior ISA and to the official solicitor and accountant of court for the Child Trust Funds. So it was thought that actually the Share Foundation could then administer both, which is what we do now and what we started to do in 2017. We worked very hard once we got the data from the official solicitor and accountant of court to reconcile the child trust funds for young people in care. Are they still in care? Do we need to be administering it? So there was a lot of work that had to be done in those early days. And then in 2023, the DFE advised that our contract was going to be renewed for another 4 years. So yeah, we will continue to do what we do. So long-term savings accounts, Junior ISA and Child Trust Fund. So both are long-term tax-free, efficient savings accounts. And the Junior ISA scheme for young people in care is through the government, and the Child Trust Fund scheme for all young people born from the 1st of September 2002 up to and including the 2nd of January 2011. That again was based on money provided by the government. As mentioned before, the Child Trust Fund scheme closed on the 2nd of January 2011, and this is when the Junior ISA scheme took over. The Share Foundation can only manage child trust funds where the local authority or healthcare trust confirm that there is no one in a position of parental responsibility. So with the Junior ISAs, we open the account, we become the registered contact. With a child trust fund, because they were set up around the time the young person was born, we can't just take control of that account. So we have to ask the local authority or healthcare trust, is there somebody already in a position of parental responsibility that is managing that account effectively? If they come back and say yes, then the Share Foundation will do no more. We cannot take control of the Child Trust Fund if it is being managed quite happily. The local authority, healthcare trust are happy with that, then that continues as it was. So we would not be able to administer contributions or that account or go and find that account because we have no right to. However, if they come back to say no, then that will mean that the Share Foundation will go about finding the Child Trust Fund account, which we have to do through HMRC, and then advising the account provider that we will be becoming the registered contact for that account until such time as anything changes. Anyone can contribute to a junior ISA or a child trust fund account. Obviously, you need to know where it is to do that, but anyone can contribute. So any accounts that the Share Foundation are administering, anyone can contribute via us through our systems to actually get money into that young person's account. So junior ISAs and child trust funds similarities. The account is opened and held in the name of the child. This is really important. This means that only the young person can claim their account. Only the young person can get that money. Nobody can just think, oh, I'll close that account now and take the money back out again. You can't get money out of a junior ISA or a child trust fund. Once it's in there, it's gifted to that young person and only they can claim it at 18, which makes that account really, really important and actually a great way of saving, because that way we can be sure that the young person will get that money. Unlike some of the building society accounts or whatever that maybe people might open up and then they can close that and take the money back out again. This means that if there is a change of placement, that account remains with that young person. It's tax efficient. At the age of 16, a child has every legal right to take responsibility for their account. That actually means that they can get the statements, they can move the account if they so wish, transfer it to a different provider, but they cannot get their money and they won't be able to get that until they're 18 years of age. Now, all of this starts to say, okay, if they can start to take control at 16, they're going to know about their account. They should know about their account. We should be preparing them for the age 18 when they're going to be able to get that money out. And how can we do that? Financial education. And I'll come back to that in a little while. But we have a financial education course that starts at the age of 15, because by us all helping and supporting a young person to understand money, to understand managing money, then by the time they're 18, we hope that they will be able to understand, go out independently and use that money wisely. Obviously, we can't capture everybody, but the financial education will help that. The maximum donations to an account currently is £9,000 per year, and that is set by HMRC, and that's for a junior ISA or a child trust fund. The junior ISA is available to all children in the UK. So anyone can have a junior ISA if they're under 18. Parent can maybe be able to set that up, or guardian. But yeah, it's available to all children in the UK. However, the junior ISA scheme is obviously different. The junior ISA scheme for young people in care that we administer is purely for the young people in care, where we can receive £200 contribution from the Department for Education for a young person in care, providing they meet some criteria. And this criteria is set by the Department for Education under the statutory guidance. They have to be under 18. They do not have a child trust fund. So legally, a young person cannot have a child trust fund and a junior ISA. That's really important to know. We are hearing sometimes a young person comes to us and said, yeah, I've claimed my child trust fund, but because I've been in care, my social worker said I've also got the junior ISA. But actually, no, they'll have one or the other, not both. They have to be a UK resident, which means that actually they are here. So if we came to one of the local authorities to ask to see that person, they would be here. So they have to be UK resident. And they have to have been in care for a continuous period for at least 1 year. Once again, this is set by the Department for Education, this criteria. With the child trust fund, beg your pardon, the contribution is the tax year. So with junior ISAs, it's based on the tax year. For a child trust fund, the account is opened when the young person, or around the time the young person was born. And again, just to reiterate, they need to have been born in the UK between those dates, and someone needs to be claiming child benefit for them. Generally, the account was opened with £250. So through the child benefit, somebody would receive that voucher, which meant that they could go and open the account using that voucher. So they chose where they open that account. Many of the young people's accounts were not opened, and if they weren't opened around the time of the young person's first birthday, HMRC would have opened it for them. And they're called HMRC allocated child trust fund accounts. And that is a big problem at the moment because a lot of young people don't know they even had one, let alone where it was or where it is. So you may see a lot of media. We've certainly been involved with a lot of media over the last year or two, well, actually since 2019, when we really started getting involved with the Child Trust Fund Recovery Campaign. But a lot of media around unclaimed child trust fund accounts, and predominantly a high level of those are the HMRC allocated. So whilst we say that generally it was opened with £250, a lot of the lower income families did receive more. And there was also a time when a second payment was made around the time, I think either 7 or 8 years of age. A second payment could have been made. So again, that really would have increased the value of that child trust fund, even if no one was contributing to it. The contribution year for a child trust fund is birthday to birthday. So differences: Junior ISA, opened by the Share Foundation for all qualifying young people and for those moving to the UK born in the Child Trust Fund era who meet the remaining criteria. So we've talked about the criteria. Just to mention here, anyone born overseas who may not have been eligible for the Child Trust Fund, even if they're born in the Child Trust Fund years, if they were born overseas, they probably weren't eligible. So therefore, then we can open a junior ISA if they meet that criteria. A junior ISA can't be converted to a child trust fund because the child trust fund scheme has closed now. With regard to the child trust fund, the accounts are already opened because they were opened around the time the young person was born. Administration is dealt with by the Share Foundation for the accounts when young people have no one in a position of parental responsibility. So where the Share Foundation are instructed by a local authority or healthcare trust to take control of that account. A child trust fund can be converted to a junior ISA if this is best advice. Now, I will say that the Share Foundation have our accounts checked over by a third-party investment organisation on a regular basis, and they will be looking at those accounts and providing best advice. And if a child trust fund, or if it's thought that a child trust fund will be best converted to a junior ISA, we would potentially do that, and we have done that in the past. But that would depend on a lot of things about how old the young person is. So we wouldn't have been transferring if a young person was 16, because really the longevity of that account is obviously reducing. So there's all sorts of factors that had to be thought into before we would have done that. But just so you know, a child trust fund can be converted to a junior ISA, and that means a young person could do that if they took control. So how does it work? Details of qualifying young people are provided by the local authority or healthcare trust. I'm really going to specify here, this is so essential. Without the regular data, we cannot do what we do. We wouldn't know that a young person needs a junior ISA account. We wouldn't know that you want us to take control of a child trust fund. We wouldn't be able to grow that money for them by having contributions coming into the account. So the importance of that data is where it all begins, really. So thank you to all of you, because most of the local authorities submit regular data submissions and the timescales that they've been set. And that really helps us to do the workflow. Are they in care? Have they left care? And do all the things around that status that we need to do to keep the young people advised of their account and how they can claim that. So with that qualifying data, we actually ascertain, does a junior ISA need to be opened, or is it going to be a child trust fund that's located? We will administer those accounts until such time as a young person leaves care, takes control themselves, adopted, returned to parents, or obviously when they turn 18. So yeah, we'll administer those until such time as we can't. Our work includes administration of additional contributions. Once again, I'd like to really point this out here. There's a lot of contributions coming in now. This is growing the account significantly. I will give you an idea of what the growth has been in terms of contributions to individual young people's accounts. When I first started, I would have said, what was that, about 2017, maybe £800,000 potentially coming in each year. I'd like to say last year, 24-25, our total contributions that came in for individual accounts from local authorities, healthcare trusts, fostering agencies, foster carers, anybody who wants to contribute to a young person's account was £6 million. And may I also add that we are on target for that again this year. So it is absolutely fabulous to know that this work is really helping young people increase their savings for when they leave care. And that's why the financial education is also very important to go hand in hand with that. So thank you again. Just as a matter of interest to local authorities, to healthcare trusts and fostering agencies, many of them are now taking savings at source and actually managing regular, consistent savings for young people in care. And that has probably also had a quite significant difference as well. But we still have a lot of foster carers too that are contributing. So what else does the Share Foundation do? Well, the seminars can tell you, but I'll briefly let you know. Seminar 2, all about handling the data. So we talked about that's what we need. This seminar is right for anybody, obviously local authorities, healthcare trusts that are just doing this. So talking about regular basis, the data coming in on a regular basis, how it's agreed, depending on the local authority or healthcare trust, the importance of the legal name. This really does help a young person claim their account. They may want to be known by one particular name. However, is that their legal name? If not, that's the name we need to open the account. Otherwise, they may struggle when it comes to claiming it. Middle names are really useful for HMRC when we're trying to find child trust fund accounts. Data also used to notify us when a young person leaves care, because that means it triggers all the letters. We can send a letter to an adoptive parent, or the guardian, or the new parent, if they've returned to parents, whoever has parental responsibility, we can send that letter to via our main contact. And I'll just say this now: the Share Foundation have main contacts for every local authority and healthcare trust. We have to communicate with somebody on a regular basis. And that's where all the letters go. We don't communicate with anyone directly who are in care. We indirectly do that through the local authority or healthcare trust. So any communication goes to that main contact. Additional contacts are great. Have some additional contacts. We can talk to them as well about specific inquiries. So it doesn't just all fall on that main contact, but we really do need a main contact. We need to be kept in contact as well in regard to any changes to those contacts, any changes to email addresses, telephone numbers, so that we can continue to keep doing what we do successfully and keep that relationship going as well. So again, that's just something to mention. And where it comes to documents, if you keep a copy, then that's great, because sometimes we know young people lose maybe touch with the local authorities or healthcare trusts. And then one day they may pop along and say, did I have an account? And at least if you've got some communication hidden away in your folders safely, then obviously that might help them if they do come back to you. But again, the Share Foundation are here to help anyway, so we will certainly do that. Seminar 3, all about funneling contributions into the savings accounts. I've already mentioned the significant increase of those, the growth, the difference it can make. But we can accept those contributions if we are the registered contact. So if we're administering those accounts. Regular contributions can be made by direct debit, which makes it a little bit easier. One-off payments by bank transfer, and special arrangements for local authorities and healthcare trusts to make single payments for multiple accounts. So that's taking the savings at source, making regular payments and doing that through ourselves. We have a really simple system. What we do sometimes use, and sorry if any of you local authorities are those people, any of the local authorities or trusts that are doing it really well, someone else who wants to come along and says, you know what, we'd like to do that now. Sometimes we do ask for them to maybe speak to another local authority, just get advice on how they've been doing it. It really helps that communication process because some of the systems you're all using are much the same. What we ask for is really simple, a spreadsheet, one column, TSF reference, second column, the amount. It's really, really simple. And then we agree the file and agree the money then. And it's all, you know, that we have an amazing contributions team, Joe and Darius and Willem. Joe and Darius have been doing this for a very long time, always happy to have meetings. So please do, don't be afraid of having a meeting with them if that's what you want to do, and they'll guide you through the whole process. We send quarterly updates on account valuation. There is a separate seminar on that anyway. So seminar 4 is all about helping young people connect with their accounts. So we've all been busy doing all of this, opening up accounts, maybe putting contributions into the accounts, helping it grow. But it's no point in doing all that if we can't connect the young people with their accounts. So this seminar is all about doing just that, making sure young people are made aware of their account. We've got some some effective processes through an automation and hands-on, so very much hands-on approach in terms of communicating with the young people, helping them, supporting them, and the relevant link will be sent to the young person. That's really important to know. So when they come to claim their account, there'll be a specific link for them. And that will depend on what type of account they have and whether the Share Foundation are administering it or not. So please don't use those letters as templates for other young people. Just the letters will come through at the age of 16, again to our main contact, and then again at the age of 17 and a half. So we make sure that that communication is set, because they have every legal right to know about that account and come the register contact if they want to at 16. So we have to send that letter out, and we do that just after the age of 16. We can provide a list to the local authority and healthcare trust, the young people who have actually started to engage with that, i.e. completed their process of knowing whether they've actually started to try and locate their account. We're actually working with HMRC and account providers and the tracing group to help with the Child Trust Fund Recovery campaign nationwide. So we're really aware of the massive problem in terms of child trust funds that haven't been claimed and should have been claimed. They're adults now, probably now. So, the scheme was started, or the youngest was born the oldest was born 1st of September 2002, so they'll be well into their 20s now. So that campaign has been really important for us to be part of that, really, because it does go hand in hand, especially for the low-income families. Seminar 5, Step Ladder of Achievement. Natasha Richmond is our programme manager. Natasha will chat about all sorts of things about this programme. She'll tell you about each step and explain that it's an incentivised programme where they can actually build up their savings, so they can earn money for each step completed. The Scottish Government have kindly been match funding this year. So we're working with them to understand whether that will continue. So they have actually been able to increase these incentivisations for Scotland because of that. There are 6 steps, and they're learning all about financial education. In our minds, it's designed to help young people gain a good understanding of money and financial confidence to prepare them for the future. And it could help them not to fall into the NEET category. So this is really worth a visit, and it's also great. As I mentioned before, starts at the age of 15 if they want to. I mean, they can do it, start whatever age, but 15 is where the youngest person in terms of the age group can start this program. And if we start preparing them for their finances for the future, that could have an impact. The second life skill we have is Stepping Forward, and that's a performing arts program. So Josie Rylance is our Stepping Forward coordinator. Josie's been with us for a year now. We launched this program last March, and it's very, very exciting for anyone who's got an interest in performing arts. It's a great introduction. It's 6 stages. Some of the actors have actually care experience themselves. So there's one stage which is around the table, and they chat about how the program has really helped them, how it helped them at the time and growing up. And how performing arts has helped them. Again, incentivized, so the learning while they're earning. And it's designed to help young people with an interest in performing arts, but also it's more than that. It's not so the performing arts, it will be all about dancing, acting, singing, but also backstage. Our feelings are also that it can help young people gain transferable skills. So they may not be that interested in actually partaking in doing something in the performing arts, but they may learn a little bit more about teamwork, a little bit more about confidence, self-esteem. So certain skill sets, life skills, things that will help them could come out of the performing arts or even the Stepping Forward program, just the fun of it as well. So it's a good program, good fun. And again, we're trying to prevent this, getting them into the NEET category or getting them out of the NEET category, and any life skills we can give young people to do that. It's just helping them, and that's what we want to do, support as many young people as we can to make sure they have good futures ahead of them. What else do we do? Seminar 6 provides quarterly updates on all the accounts. So here you'll learn about what we call the valuation report. Most of you will be familiar with that. You'll be receiving that from your LA liaison team, which are Des, Deborah, Sue Jones. You may all be aware of your own representative because we split everyone into regions so that we can build those relationships really well. And Dagmar Taylor is our LA liaison manager. So again, Dagmar has a lot of work, a lot of involvement with the team and with local authorities as well, and the bilateral agreement, which I'll mention shortly. So the valuation report is a really interesting one, worth understanding how local authorities and healthcare trusts can use that report. And we've introduced a couple of new columns this time. So I think the January edition that went out has the new columns on that. And it actually shows where a young person has engaged with the process of locating their account. So some of those valuations are going to be difficult for us to ever update because when a young person turns 18, we have no right to any information anymore. Account providers don't always let us know if a young person has claimed their account, and they certainly wouldn't if they were 18, because as I said, we're not allowed to have that information generally. Some of the one of the junior ISA providers, I think, does provide a good understanding, as some of the account providers have been a bit more generous with their information, but we can't get that from everybody. And so we hope that the fact that a young person receives those letters helps them to engage in the process of locating their account. If a local authority or healthcare trust find that a young person has claimed their account, but there's still a value on that valuation report, please let us know. We can update our system. That's what we want to do. We want to know exactly who has claimed their account and who, more importantly, hasn't, so that we can reach the ones that haven't. So any information that you do get on the back of that, and you can see that, or you know that a young person has claimed their account, just let us know. That would be great. So seminar 7, this is all about assisting account holders to access their accounts. So this is our final seminar, if you like, and it's all about when they turn 18, if they haven't already located their account, and what we do to help them with that. Also to raise awareness of the Care Leaver Covenant. I'm going to mention the bilateral agreement here because Dagmar is very much involved with that. And the bilateral agreement is something that we set up about 4 years ago. And we worked with the DfE and the Information Commissioner's Office to make sure that that bilateral agreement was, accepted by them. And also, obviously, a legal team to have that prepared. And now we've got that out to all local authorities and healthcare trusts. And we have a lot of local authorities that have signed the agreement. And this basically means that we can continue to share data with local authorities and healthcare trusts after a young person has turned 18. So that will mean that we can send to a local authority or trust, these are the accounts we believe have still not yet been claimed, and the young people are now over 18. And in turn, an LA or trust can send back to us, right, well, these are the known addresses that we have, the last known addresses that we have. And then the Share Foundation can write to those young people to advise them that they have an account that hasn't been claimed or that may not have been claimed. Now, when we do this, we see a difference. When Dagmar's done one of her letters out, for instance, if she did something for Birmingham, then suddenly we have this increase of young people that are either filling out the online form to locate their account or ringing us to see whether it's legitimate and actually what do they need to do. So it has had an impact, so much so that statistically, Junior ISA at the moment, for all the letters that have ever been sent out through the bilateral agreement with the junior ISAs, we've had 54% claimed or actioned upon. That's 54% that wouldn't have been if we aren't doing this process. Child trust funds, 73%. So it's worth doing. If you haven't signed up, please consider it. Please speak to the Share Foundation, have a chat with Dagmar. She's definitely sent them to everybody, but if you need it resent, just let Dagmar know. No problem whatsoever, we'll resend it. But it's really important that we can continue to make sure that all young people who have now reached adulthood, who have left the care system, who aren't really communicating maybe with local authorities and trusts anymore, they are made aware of these accounts, that we have them claimed. And we really, really are keen to do that. If we work from the age of 16 when we send out those letters, then we may reduce this problem by letting the young people know earlier about these accounts and how they can claim them, and preparing them for having the, claiming the account by financial education. If we do it all earlier, by the time they're 18, we won't have these unclaimed, or we won't have as many unclaimed accounts because they would have been known about it. They know what they should be doing. They know how they do it, and they know a little bit about financial education potentially as well. That is all from me. That's the link to sign up. So I can probably I'll leave that there for a few minutes, and then I can pop that into the chat. In fact, if I just do that for you now, everybody's got that. Just bear with me, I'll just do that. But hopefully you've got that if you have received something from the Share Foundation. Sorry, just bear with me. And I'm just going to do this now just to help you really, because it is worth attending all the seminars if you can, or even asking some of your colleagues too. So www.sharefound.org. E instead of an O, local-authority-seminars is now going into the chat. So now it's time for questions. I will leave that on the screen for the time being. That's our phone number. That's our info@sharefound.org email address, website. But more importantly, I just want to say that we actually answer the phone. We are very, very active with phone calls and with emails. We have a great team that are always happy to speak to young people directly where we can, to foster carers, fine, no problem, but only general information, can't give out specific information. And to local authorities and trusts and fostering agencies, whoever wants to call us to find out about the scheme, about what they need to do, about a process, that's fine. What we can't do is give out specific information to third parties. We at the Share Foundation administer these accounts. We work very closely with local authorities and healthcare trusts, but we rely on our main contact when it comes to a third-party inquiry for something specific. And I know sometimes that might be frustrating, and that's why we always say, please make sure that the main contact is able to do this to support, or have some additional contacts so that they can be supported. But we are not allowed to talk about specific things, nor should we be talking to anybody, not even a social worker. We only can talk to the people that we have been advised can be an additional contact, and we have these named contacts on our system. So when people, each of the team are picking up a call, we will be checking to see whether those people are on there to know what we can give out. So I think that's really important for you to understand us, because we cannot verify third parties. We don't know what placements the young people are in, why they're in care, nor do we need to know that specific information for what we do. So, thank you for, working closely with us and understanding what we can do, but what we can't do as well. Very important to say that everything we do, everything I've said here today, is free of charge. It's free of charge. Use us, make sure the young people get as much out of what we can offer them. That's really important. That's what we're all here for. I'm going to stop now, but please ask any questions that you want to.
Can I just ask, on behalf of a local authority, in terms of getting additional contacts added, is it a case of emailing, copying in the current contacts and just asking for? So there's been some staffing changes at our authority.
Yeah, what I suggest, Gemma, is that you maybe get the actual named contact, so whoever our main contact is, to email the Share Foundation representative. So for instance, for Staffordshire, it's probably Sue Jones, or you could go to Dagmar Taylor, and just email them, get the main contact to email to say, we'd like to add these people. What we need really is their name, their full name, their telephone number, their direct email address, and their postal address. We very rarely post things, but at the moment we're still doing something, probably sending checks actually, and that will go to our main contact. But it's very useful if we did need to send something to make sure we've got the right address and we're sending, because we don't want things going to the wrong place. And actually, this is probably a very important time to say we cannot accept shared emails. It has to be individual emails because of the data. We only need the people that need that data to have that data. That's all about data, really. We shouldn't be sharing it with people that don't need it. Gemma, does that answer your question?
Yeah, we'll pick that up. Thank you.
Brilliant. Does anyone else have any other inquiries? Questions? Courtney, I think you've got your hands up. Sorry.
Hi, Sue. Thank you. I'm commissioning officer from a local authority, and within your presentation, you advised that the Share Fund obviously administer the account until the young person leaves care. That could be obviously when they're 18, adopted, and returned to parents. Just wanted to clarify, when a young person is in care and then leaves care, if they ever come back into care, will can the account start again effectively? Can you start administering it straight again as soon as you're notified, or is there any time delay in that?
Okay, Courtney, a very good question. So what happens is, obviously, when they come into care, we identify them. We'll either open the junior ISA, or if you ask us to, we'll take control of the Child Trust Fund. When you submit them then as left care, so a left care status, we would then generate, you're probably familiar with it, what we call the status change letter. So that basically feels like the Share Foundation are addressing the person with parental responsibility, but we're sending it obviously via our main contact at the local authority, and it will say something like, we've been advised by Birmingham that that whoever the young person's name is has now left care, and you may be aware they've got this account, and now you've got parental responsibility, you now need to take control. And there may be a form attached that we've signed as well, so that tells the account provider that we have actually given acceptance for someone else to take control of the account. So if that status change letter is actioned on and someone takes control of, let's say, the junior ISA, they've taken control of that, and then the young person has come back into care. What we could do, and what we do is, if a local authority says, right, we actually want to start contributing to this account again, can we? Then the first thing we'd have to do is check with the account provider to see if the account was ever taken control of by someone else, because at the status change letter really advised them to do that. So if the account has actually been taken control of, there isn't anything else the Share Foundation can do. We cannot claim back the junior ISA, because our guidance is not to take control of a junior ISA. It's to open a junior ISA, but we can't take back control of it.
I see.
If, however, the account has not been taken control of, it's still sitting under the Share Foundation. Bear in mind, the account providers don't know that the young person's left care. They'll only know that when that registered contact form goes to them, and they may come to us and clarify something if they're unsure. But if it's still sitting with us, then we would simply say, well, can you make us, still just put a note on file, we're going to be the registered contact again, and then we can pick up as normal.
Okay.
Does that make sense, Courtney?
Yeah, no, that's really helpful. And that provides some clarity for me. I'm obviously providing a report to our senior managers, and that'll be obviously one of the questions I'm sure that they'll ask.
Yes.
Because we have had instances of young people leaving care and coming back into care.
Yes.
And understanding how we administer that.
Yeah, and I think it's worth maybe then thinking about a process to check with us to see whether we are still the registered contact, especially if you want to make contributions to that account. I mean, obviously, then it might be that if we aren't able to, because someone has taken control, that's where you might need your internal measures to see how you communicate with that person who's taken control. Because obviously, you need to maybe want to make contributions, then you need to have, know how you have that relationship. But that would be your internal matters. So I guess if you're doing a report on that, then maybe that's something to consider.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Sue. I don't know if you can you hear me? I don't know if I was unable to see how you put your hand up on Zoom. I don't use it a lot.
No, don't worry. I can hear you. No problem at all.
Brilliant. I was just asking, one of the questions I had in mind was, a lot of the children that I work with leave care through adoption. And when we submit the quarterly, or from Northumberland, we submit that quarterly document, and then all of our adopters are notified about the junior ISA that has been opened if a child's been in care longer than 12 months. So can I ask, when a child's adopted, their junior ISA, does it remain in their birth name, or when the account, the letter that you were just talking about there, is sent to the adopters, they would have parental responsibility at that point for the child? Would the account still remain in the child's birth name, or would that be changed to their adoptive family surname?
course. So we open the account obviously in the name that the local authority gives us. So that's the name that we will open it in, and the same obviously date of birth or whatever, all of that detail that you give us, that's how the account is opened. When, as we mentioned, young person leaves care, so maybe you say they've been adopted, so that status change letter will be sent to the main contact of that local authority or trust to send out to the person with parental responsibility now. So if it's an adoptive parent, they'll get that letter and it will let them know how they can go about becoming the registered contact. And on the registered contact form or change of registered contact, it does provide an opportunity for them to give a new name. So obviously that would all be down to whether the adoptive parent does that or not, really. Because that would not be for the Share Foundation, because we wouldn't know that new name. The only time we would, so that's for the junior ISA, the Child Trust Fund, when it comes to a Child Trust Fund that we are the registered contact for, the same process applies, apart from that status change letter for a Child Trust Fund will ask for documentation that has to be sent to the Share Foundation. So it will ask for a proof of parental responsibility. If they've been adopted, we normally ask for the full adoption order so we can see the old name and the new name. And it will also ask for some information to clarify that person with parental responsibilities, their address, and also photographic ID. So we can actually go through a due diligence process of being happy that we're passing over something that is as much as possible, proving that person has parental responsibility, because we obviously have to do that. So in the documentation we then send to the account provider to relinquish responsibility, we are then, if we know that there's a different name, we are then going to be putting that in our certificate that we send to the account provider. So we'll send the account provider sort of almost a confirmation that we're happy, that we're relinquishing responsibility. This is the person now that wants to take control, and this is the name of the young person now, and this is the name of the young person that they said it will be. But in turn, that person who gets parental responsibility also gets relevant paperwork, and they have to contact the account provider as well directly, and they in turn can make that name change. So it will all be about that person with parental responsibility actioning that name change.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, thank you.
No problem. Does anyone else have any more questions? I mean, you've got our contact number, our email address. Please just contact us if you have anything. We're always happy to have separate meetings. So if it's a particular local authority or trust that actually wants to meet with a particular team about a certain subject, fine, no problem. Let's sort a meeting out or have a chat or however best. But we're all here to help you. We're here to support, and we're all working together for the same reason. So, thank you. I'm going to say a massive thank you for the data that you send in, for the time that the main contacts and the additional contacts take to work with the Share Foundation. And, it's just great to be working so closely with you all. So thank you. I'm going to stay on for a few more minutes, so feel free to leave if you've had enough. But again, please, we are always welcoming people to ask questions, ring us, do whatever you need to do to make contact if you need to. Thank you, and I hope you all go to some of the other seminars because they'll be really useful. Take care and enjoy the rest of Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.
Bye. Oh, Rena, have you got some questions?
I stayed on thinking if anybody asks, I've got something to learn from
thank
it.
you. Yeah, I was going to.
That was really good. That was
I might
very
ask
good.
Rena in a minute. Let me share.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah.
Oh, I just need to stop recording.
If we